So macam mana saya baca pasal about you? So kita English lah. Kita English, okay.
Sure.
It doesn't matter like how much I read about you kan. Like I feel like there's something else, you know, because what you did with Bonyo Comrade is something that is weird. Okay,
Weird.
let me just
Okay,
do the intros dulu. Hey, what's up? You're watching the Sip Sip Show. Ini episode Teta berapa? Oh, saya balik saya dengan saya punya habit yang Teta apa episode. So this is a show where we try to provide a platform for people to tell stories. Saya rasa we're still finding that niche. Mau cari itu slogan apa. And I think until today, okay lah. I mean, people have been sharing stories in this platform, and it's good. We're happy, and I guess we want more. So today we have a very important guest, very lion, Straw Lim. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Egan. Egan ka?
Egan.
Yeah.
It's Harold Reagan
Harold
as well.
Reagan.
It's short for Reagan. So my grandmother calls me Egan.
Mm.
So dari sana, it's Egan all the way lah. So I tried not to use Egan mula-mula, but then again friends saw my grandma and they heard the name. Oh, your name is Egan. So until today lah.
Biasa saja. Okay.
So your name is Straw.
Yeah, I'm Straw Lim, but my friends call me Jen. As in January. Jen.
Straw meaning you, when you were born, you were given the name Straw?
No, it's my stage name.
Stage name.
Yeah.
How?
It's a long story.
We have time.
Yay! I think I started sharing my music stuff
Okay.
in a forum, and then in the forum you need to have a nickname.
Nickname.
So I picked Straw because at the time I felt like I am very insignificant. It's like straw is like a daily item, but people use it and they just throw it away.
Okay.
So I felt like my presence, my being is like, I mean, I'm not supposed to be here. I have no purpose, or like useless kind of thing. So then I used that as a name lah. And then eventually I started sharing my music and people remember me as that name. And so I just use it for my music stuff. And interestingly, straw, in Mandarin, it's 水草.
Okay.
We call it 水草 in Malaysia. But the actual proper name, it's supposed to be 吸管, which is the proper name for straw. And I thought it's interesting to use 水草 because it kind of keeps the Malaysian Chinese identity. So for example, if you go to Taiwan or if you go to China and you ask for a straw and you say 水草, people will be like, why are you asking for seaweed? So 水草 actually means water, grass, seaweed, seagrass. Yeah. So for some reason, I don't know why, maybe Hokkien translation somehow, people here call it 水草. So that's why I kind of kept that name also. Yeah. And yeah.
But I feel like there's kind of like an upgrading story behind this, like something to look forward to, because now you're someone, and I mean, for my perspective lah, like you kind of like see straw as something that is useful, something that is cantik, aesthetic. Do you see it that way? I mean,
I think, yeah, I mean, as I grow older, I mean, I backpacked and stuff, right? So I start to search for the meaning, purpose, and I felt actually everything has a purpose lah, whether it's big or small. Like for example, you can't drink remember that we had this movement of like no straw,
Mm-hmm.
and then we realized we can't drink like bubble tea without straw. Or like you can't, when you drink like soft drinks without a straw, it feels very different
Yeah.
if you just drink it straight from the cup. So I felt maybe we have a role to play. Everyone has a role to play, and as long as you play your role well, then you kind of
Yay.
yay, yeah. So I mean, I'm not so hard on like I need a huge purpose. It just probably it helps me to carry on to survive. Or else if you kept feeling like you have no place in this world, then how are you gonna move forward? Yeah, so it kind of moved like that as I grew older.
You mentioned you traveled,
Yeah.
and I read like you traveled a significant amount of countries. What was it like? I mean, being in these foreign places.
Have you traveled backpack before?
I want to say yes, but I backpacked around because for us Sabahans, backpacking in Semenanjung is like a big thing.
Yeah.
So I backpacked. I mean, when I have the time, when I was studying there, JB to Penang, stuff like that.
Wow.
So yeah, we went to like masjid to mandi, and
So cool.
yeah, it was very weird for me being in a in a local kind of setting, but it felt so foreign because everyone is not Sabahan lah, obviously, and it was strange but okay in the same time. So, but I guess being outside of Malaysia is different.
I guess so. I think I started traveling alone in Malaysia first. Like I went to Malacca and then went to Redang and I stayed with my friends and stuff like that. So that kind of prepped me for traveling abroad alone, that kind of thing. I think the first country that I curi pergi it's I went to Taiwan to attend a music festival. Because at the time there's no such huge festival where you camp there and that kind of thing. So I went to Taiwan like alone, and then it was like quite mind blowing. And then when after I finished my studies, I lived in the UK for like 1 year, about that,
Right.
to finish my degree. And after that, I had like half a year kind of break before the graduation. So then I backpacked around lah. I think in Europe it's quite easy, and then you have the benefit of using your student pass, and then the transportation is very easy, and then you can speak
Trains.
English, yeah, and then yeah, it's quite cheap lah to stay in hostels. So it was quite easy and fairly safe. So after I why do I want to backpack in the first place is I think after I finished studies, a lot of my friends, they went back to Malaysia. They have a bit lah, so they can go back to Malaysia and then come back again for graduation. But I didn't want to, spend that money to come back and then go. So then I was in my room and all my friends are not around, alone. Then I start to get a bit depressed. And so one day I just watched documentaries lah about the composers that I like Mozart and Beethoven and all that. And
It's
then I
very
realised-
heavy.
in BBC they have a lot of
Wait,
good
hold
programs.
on. Let me
Okay,
just
okay.
fix this.
Yeah,
My mouth is supposed to.
Oh, BBC. Okay. Okay. I speak too slow or soft. Okay kan volume dia.
Okay.
Yeah, so I watched some documentaries about music lah, and their composers about Mozart, Beethoven. Then I realized actually I really like Beethoven because I was trained in classical piano when I was since young. And I always hear my teacher share about the stories of the composers and I mean, she's a very special teacher. She don't just teach you how to pass exam or just memorize all the score and scales. She actually showed me like storybooks of people in Germany, like how they dress up, like who do they compose the music for, and how the culture is like. So she will tell me stories about that. So at the back of my head I was like, one day I want to go see what's the culture like. So since I was in the UK, then Germany is not too far away. So I figured, I took that as a sign lah, after watching the documentary, that I should, maybe go Germany and see what's the birthplace is like. And yeah, I think it started from there. Germany, quite safe. And then I told my parents about it, and they felt Germany is safe. But I didn't tell them that I went alone lah. Now they know.
Now they know.
Yeah, so from Germany, then I visited a lot of like museums. A lot of them are free galleries and stuff. And got to know more people. And that kind of became like a turning point for me, because I grew up as a very like quiet. Still, I'm quite quiet kind of person, and like very observant, but I just rarely speak my mind, and very afraid of like talking to people or approach other people. But after backpacking, you're kind of forced to mingle around, and then you get bored, you make friends.
Explain who you are.
Yeah, tell them about Malaysia, complain about Malaysia. Yeah. So from there, I just got used to it, and then there's so much to see, so much cultural things to see, and art galleries, and interesting people you meet, and then I just got kind of addicted to traveling lah. So from there, I just moved on to other countries around. So eventually, at that point, I think I finished like around 22 countries back then.
So this is like Europe.
Yeah, Europe.
Okay.
Europe, but I did go over to like Egypt and Turkey and some other countries. So I mean, once you are used to like Germany, the more safer place, then you move like to like the less safer place, like the
upgrades.
You don't go like more upgrades. I think then you go to like Greece, Italy, and then Egypt, and then Turkey, and then the more probably people perceive as less safe places, because then you get more and more brave. And then
So is it less safe?
Yeah, I think everywhere is not safe, but some places are quite. I mean, in Egypt, because places are very far away, you kind of need to book like a tour.
Oh,
it's best travel in a group lah, or you book like a tour that with a bunch of people. But I somehow like YOLO, just go.
Is it like a gender thing?
Maybe. No, I think back, I felt I was very lucky that every time that I was alone, or I booked some trip that needs to travel in a car with just one driver to like a desert place, somehow there's someone who wants to join. And that's, I mean, you can't plan these kind of things. And now I think back, it's quite scary, because in that car, you always, I mean, in Egypt, there's always like abduction kind of cases, or like kidnap, or people just drop you in the middle of nowhere because you're in the middle of nowhere. And then they actually have to carry guns to protect themselves. So imagine if nobody went with me and I still die want to go. It's just me and the driver and a gun.
So this gun is like, it's there.
It's gun, it's
Shit.
So I wanted to visit, those pyramids and those places, So that was that lah. And then I met this professor guy. He's like retired from Switzerland, and then I think he kind of noticed that it might be unsafe. So I think he jumped in to say he wanted to go, because he has been there a lot of times already.
That's nice.
He's like a researcher kind of thing lah. So then he went with me, and then I was glad I was safe. But back then I didn't care about all this. I just wanted to see the world.
How old were you back then?
I just finished uni, that kind of age.
20 plus, early
20s. Yeah.
Oh,
but, yeah, but when I went for the music festival in Taiwan, I was still A-levels, Yeah. Yeah, so just,
Something tells me there's a story behind it. Macam susah dia mau keluar.
Kena dig When I was 1 year old.
Let's go back to that piano lesson.
Yeah.
I'm really
Music,
interested with that.
Okay.
So your teacher did something, I guess, special by teaching you other cultures that is related to what you're learning,
Yeah.
the piano lessons and everything. Does that happen to a lot of piano students in Malaysia? Do they just learn the music, the technicalities, or do they learn the whole thing, like the culture and history, and why is that type of music such a thing?
I think from my experience, because I actually had a few different teachers before this teacher, I think most of them are focused on getting good grades at the exams. ABRSM, there's ABRSM, there's Trinity, there's different boards, and it's the syllabus is from the UK. So we study their classical music. So in a sense, we are kind of memorizing other people's culture. So I felt maybe we don't personalize it. So that's why people just, okay, I pay for this amount of money. I just want to get this grade so that it looks good on my curriculums. Probably that kind of most of them are like that, or like it's something that enriches your brain, that kind of thing. But I felt not many people would talk about the culture side of things. It's because this teacher, she actually studies even further rather than just teaching music. While she was teaching me, she was still going to UM to go for lessons. So she's a person who likes to learn. I feel like she's a person who likes to learn more deeper in culture. So it's not. Yeah, I figure it's not normal. She's a special teacher because a lot of people, like, they share their music learning journey. It's like, the teacher very garang. They just hit you with the pembaris if you don't play properly. But she's never. Even if sometimes I don't practice, she knows, and I pretend I don't know. She's still very, very patient, and I think she's not aiming for me to like become a distinction good grade 8 perfect student. But I mean, in music as well, in that course, you do have to understand the different periods of music, like classical, and then it goes to romantic, different periods, like art got different periods, right? But it's all like just memorizing so you pass the exam. But she made it like interesting for me. And I mean, talking about like piano lessons, how I got to learn also is because my mom didn't get to learn music. So her goal is not like I want my children to be like very impressive. So her goal is like, because she couldn't learn when she was younger, so she wanted her kids to enjoy. Yeah, so that's why I think we got to enjoy playing music rather than just like enough forced to play. Yeah,
is
so
this
maybe
teacher still around?
Yeah, she's quite old now. The other day during elections, I was one of those SPR, I have to walk around and just pantau lah, see everything's okay. Then I saw her walking in like with a tongkat, like really slow, and there's like a slope to the school, and I was like, oh, I kind of like wanted to cry. I was like,
and she look at you one kind, and you still remember how to play?
No, she's not that kind. She's like the very, very
with the tongkat
kind. You don't go. I saw her, but she's quite old. I think she had a stroke, or
She remembers you?
Yeah. Sometimes I text her. I mean, I invited her to my wedding but she's very old already. Yeah, not very healthy. But she's an amazing teacher. Her name is Maureen. Maureen Sito.
Maureen. Shout out! Anak-anak ka.
Yeah. I mean, that's the story.
Okay. Take 5. Kita nangis tu siap. Yeah, so why do you do music? I mean, why learn it in the first place?
I think I have the interest, the inclination to want to like music. And most importantly, I'm privileged enough to be able to have parents who can pay for music lessons. So my mom, because she has a lot of siblings, maybe 10, more than 10 siblings, and she's the second eldest daughter. So but then
more than 10?
I think, yeah, if I count. Yeah, both sides of my parents, they have a lot of siblings. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So because she's sort of the elder one, so she had to save a lot of the resources for the younger siblings. So she wanted to learn music, and that's why she couldn't learn. But some of her younger siblings, they got to learn. So, and she sings very well. I mean, from what I remember, like the stories that she would tell is, there's one time she got a competition, she won like second place, and then her voice was played on radio. But like there's a tragic accident that happened during her high school times, I think. There was a fire at her. I mean, she was living in a shop lot kind of place. So there was a fire, and then some of her siblings got to escape, some didn't, and she was trapped for quite long. And then she breathed in a lot of the smoke and stuff. And then she got hospitalized. She got rescued, and then she got hospitalized. And then I think for 1 or 2 weeks she couldn't speak at all. And after that, when she recovered, she realized she couldn't sing anymore like how she used to. Yeah. So I think she still loves to sing, but knowing how you used to sound like, and now you can't sound like that anymore. So I guess she has those kind of regrets in her life. So when she had us, maybe she noticed that we, can sing a bit, can play a bit, and she encouraged us to learn music. And in school competitions also, she will encourage me to go and perform. Yeah, she's very actively getting me involved in school curriculums and I also love it. Yeah, I like to join a lot of activities. I think also because I was very adaptable, because like when I was born, the first few months, they had to send me to somewhere else to be taken care of by my aunt, a few states away in Johor. So I was born in KL, and I was sent to Johor to be taken care of for a while because they couldn't, we didn't have a house yet, and they couldn't cope, I think, back then. So they have to travel once a week by bus to see me.
What do you mean you don't have a house yet?
They weren't, they're kind of struggling financially.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, they grew up in Johor, then they go to KL to try to find a better living.
So who raised you in Johor?
My aunt,
Okay.
my dad's eldest sister, for a while. I don't think that's a very long time, just for a while, until they got a house, and then they moved me back. I think, but even when I moved back, they have to work full time also, so I have to be sent to the nannies and stuff. Even going to kindergarten and all, I have to take the bus. So what I'm trying to say is, I was very adaptable since I was young.
You took the bus going to kindergarten?
Yeah. It was fun. Maybe back then it was less.
Can.
Some people walk,
I
man.
took the bus when I was going to kindergarten.
Yeah.
And it was like a bus, not like bus cola.
My bus sekolah.
I took the bus. But this uncle driver was briefed that he needs to send me home lah. So everyone in school are like, kenapa sih kena naik ini bus Like it's a big bus. So
you sit on bus with other people?
I sit
adults.
with the driver. Just dead in front. Yeah. Itu sekolah yang kita pergi yang di Labuan tu, yang dekat kita punya homestay. That's cool. During that time when you were raised in Johor, did you have any recollection of your emotions, your experience there?
I have one. I was so young. I have one, like when my auntie was dressing me up, preparing me to meet my parents. So they come once a week, right?
Oh.
So they want to kemas, so that
powder.
Powder, those. I remember that when she was showering me and then meet my parents. I remember that moment for some reason. Yeah. So only that lah.
So you look forward for that?
Yeah, to see my parents. But yeah, I mean, that was that kind of relationship with my parents growing up. They really worked very hard to sustain our lifestyle. Sustain a life. Yeah. And then I have a younger brother, and then yeah.
So your younger brother, did he experience your experiences?
So
he got it good?
Yeah, he got it slightly better. Yeah. My mom had to quit her job to take care of us at home. And then so he didn't need to move so much. Yeah, so I figured that might be the difference where I'm more adaptable, like to try things, not afraid.
Backpacking 50 countries.
Yeah, maybe I figured maybe that. It's their fault. Yeah, maybe my dad also like he likes to travel.
Oh, your dad's
Yeah.
traveler.
I remember he said, I mean, he likes to read and learn, explore. So he also encouraged us to, see the world. Yeah, I mean, they are born, they are raised. I mean, my parents are raised in a very small kampong in Kluang, in Johor. But for them to be able to come out of that, their comfort zone and then to see the world. So I think they want their kids to also be able to see the world also. So when I was taking a break in the UK, rather than coming back, he also encouraged me to go explore, go as far as I can to explore. Just not alone. But yes, and the idea for us to go to UK to study is actually most of my friends, our plan was to finish high school, get good grades, so you can go to the UK to study, go into a good university, then migrate there. So that was the plan. But I wanted to come back lah, and that's another story. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. I don't know lah. Like maybe we had this kind of mindset in probably some of the Chinese community that we are second-class citizens. We will not have good opportunities here. We are not treated fairly. That kind of mindset. That was our mindset being fed to us lah. And we didn't study in Chinese school. Kind of in our Chinese bubble. We don't get to meet a lot of other races. Yeah, even
that's a word, Chinese bubbles.
Yeah, Chinese bubble. Yeah.
Wow.
I had to face this thing because I only realized that this was a thing when I went overseas to study. And when I came back, I had a reverse culture shock. Then I realized, why are we so rigid? Some of us are, not all. Some so rigid. Whereas people overseas, they're so open-minded. We can have open conversations. Like when I come back, I don't know who to talk to. Like from a quiet girl who then can have conversations. Then when you come back, you're like, nobody understands me. Why am I here? But yeah, it takes a really strong conviction for me to come back to Malaysia, or else I have to. Yeah, I mean most of my friends have already migrated, which is quite sad. I mean happy for them, but sad for me.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean.
So how did you found something about yourself after studying, after backpacking, or did you traveled a bit more to realize who you are? Am I making sense?
Yeah, I think it's this journey never ends. I think we keep developing ourselves, and I mean, if I look back at this video, maybe 5 years later, maybe 1 year later, it might be I might have grown into a different person. So I think it's a whole journey. But I think for me, having a will to live is already a great thing. Like you want to, when you wake up, you're like, okay, today I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna live. I think for me that is already an achievement. So the finding myself kind of thing, I think, I don't know, I'm not one who plans 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead. Like get married, I want to have this, how many houses, have a car, blah, blah, blah. I kind of go one step at a time. I think probably because I think life is supposed to be uncertain. So I have accepted that fact that things don't always go the way you want. And also probably have you had near death experiences?
Near death experiences.
It might not be that dramatic lah, maybe.
I guess. Yeah.
So probably those moments make you realize okay, probably gives you some motivation to figure out why am I still here.
But I guess I have a different experience. So my near-death experience made me suicidal. So
the other way.
Yeah, I kind of have to maneuver myself out of that. It became this in a later stage. I realize when you talk about your problems, you talk about your tendencies, your suicidal thoughts, then you realize you're not alone. Someone else in the group might have the same problem. And I figured out that we need to share what we experience and find our cliques in the community. And I believe this type of interviews are important so that we can find those cliques. So yeah, that's why I'm doing this. Yeah.
Wow.
So ada banyak yang ada near death experience.
Kan?
So what's your near death experience?
Wow. There was two. It was not like very dramatic. I think 3. I think these are like important, maybe turning points. One is I think when I was still studying A levels, my trajectory was supposed to finish SPM, then A levels, then pursue probably a pharmacy degree or something. But during that period, I really didn't want to do that because I'm not really good at biology. I wanted to do something related to music or physics, maths. Those are like my stronger points. But during that time, I have a good friend had a car accident and he passed away. And then the last words that he said was, "I still don't want to die."
You were there in the
No,
accident?
I weren't there. But there were people around there.
Oh, okay.
Around him. He said to us, yeah. So that was his last words. So at the back of my mind, I was like, wow, you really should be doing what you want to do before you die. But it was back then it was very, very sad when he passed away because he has such a bright future ahead of him. So not long after that, we got into an accident, my mom and I. Someone drove to, they speed. And then it was just like maybe 1 second difference that it would have hit the driver's seat, which is driver's seat, and then I'm sitting next to my mom. But it hit just like behind it. So we didn't get any injuries, but the car like kind of spin like 180 degrees. So that moment also like the shock, like your good friend just passed away, and then like you might have gotten into an accident, and then you are supposed to choose what you want to study at that time. So I realized I should be doing what I enjoy doing instead. So
did your life flash like they say?
No, because I didn't get injured. I was just really shocked, like blank. You couldn't respond for quite a while. And then you went to then you went to the police station. You still have to go through all the documentation, insurance, blah, blah. So you kind of have to like keep the calm to carry out all those things. But the shock that was one. And then I had dengue. That was like few years later. Okay, so then I pursue what I want to study, kinda. And then the next turning point was like I was working already, and then I had dengue, and then it was in a very bad condition that my white blood cells wasn't, not white blood cells, platelets count weren't keep turun lah, and had to like my mom had to reserve like 2 bags of blood for me to to save me kind of situation. That also reminded me of what I should be doing. And the next one is like I think last year I went diving and then suddenly my oxygen tank kena tutup. I don't know why tutup or something happened malfunction. And then I couldn't breathe like 15 meters
15
down.
meters?
I already dive for like 15 minutes now. Yeah, I don't know how many meters down. Yeah, so those are kind of reminders of like why am I still here. I always ask myself like, why am I still here? When I like go on an aeroplane, when I landed safely, I was like, okay, why am I still here? So that's what keeps me going lah. Okay, I'm still here, so I just do what's in front of me lah. Do it well. Then I just one step at a time. Yeah. Does that answer that question?
So the first time was you were with your mom.
Yeah.
You were with your mom, and second time?
Second time, I was sick, dengue lah kan.
The good friend.
Good friend, and then with my mom. Then the second time was dengue. If you want to say who I was with my dad actually. He
How
had
did you get
cancer.
dengue?
I don't know. The dengue chose you. Now I'm immune to one species. There's 3 more to go.
And then
Yeah.
diving.
Yeah, but the second one was interesting also. When you asked me who I was with, at the time I was admitted. My dad was also admitted to hospital because he had cancer, stage 4, and then he passed away already lah, a few years ago.
Sorry.
Yeah, so yeah, those were the experiences. And then the recent one, I was with my husband, with Justin. Yeah, so luckily he was my buddy, so I just take his oxygen to, that thing.
So you were saying like you need
Yeah.
to be doing things that you love before you die.
Yeah.
And most of the things that you're doing in these incidents are doing like things that you would probably love. Like you with your mom, with your dad, with your husband.
Yeah, kinda. It was a switching point. Like I was supposed to choose to study pharmacy or creative. I was with my mom, but at the time it was a season where I need to choose what to study. So I could have studied pharmacy and be unhappy, and then probably prescribe some medicine for myself. Okay,
I mean,
yeah, I did not choose this life. Yeah, so that was that point. I felt maybe lah. Then the second one was I was actually during that point I was probably starting to, I guess, okay, like in the as a designer, right, your career progression is like a junior designer, then you senior, then art director, then creative director, then you just climb on the ladder. But I never really had that kind of ambition to want to like be like the top kind of thing. So probably that time also, I was probably thinking maybe I should, like, this career, like how long will it be? And also Justin has already moved back to Sabah,
okay.
and I have to transition, like get ready myself to move to Sabah also. So yeah, I guess, I mean, moving to Sabah is a big move. Yeah, and then the diving one, I think, yeah, I don't know what's that. Probably I've always been questioning like whether is what I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So
Shit.
I don't know.
You're deep.
It's too abstract.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would need some time to digest. You're a thinker? You're a thinker?
Yeah, I think too much.
Wow. Take 5 jump.
Okay, ka. I feel like I'm not very good at articulating my what I'm thinking.
I'm just fascinated yang all these events dia berlapis-lapis in one specific timeline yang live or die. How is it not dramatic?
Oh, is it? Probably you hear more stories of other people and you realize, oh, actually they had it worse.
Maybe.
Or, then you
Maybe.
feel like, okay lah,
Yeah.
I'm still very blessed, or like I'm still very
I maybe you are that type that understands the situation. Macam the accident happened and you were with your mom and the decision you have to make, it's well documented in your head that these are the things that happened at that one time, and it made the accident more significant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or else it could just be an accident.
Kan?
Yeah.
Or else it would be just an accident yang
Yeah.
you have to go to the station, but the report and that was Thursday.
Yeah.
Kan?
Someone just speed a little bit. Yeah. Actually,
I always have my situation is like fights with the wife, marah anak. This is like bapa husband thing, and at that particular moment it was just like it was Thursday, saya marah and I marah my anak. But like after a few weeks, after a few months begitu kan, when you think about it, I had a bad day. I didn't eat this. I had too much coffee.
Mm.
I was thinking about this and that, and this was happening in the kampong, and everything was poured down to that poor kid. And I was like, what did I do? And now, slowly, very, very slowly, I feel like all these documentation in my head, you need to like tapis plan and just digest it before you go home and act stupid with your family.
Oh.
I used to not understand my dad bila dia habis kerja and then he would go out drinking. I would feel like, why do you need to go somewhere else before you go home? Can you just
Come
go
home.
straight home and just live life with family? Now I understand, like, oh, he needs to unwind, he needs to like think and digest what happened that day and
Yeah.
come home being the person that we want him to be. And it's pretty hard.
Yeah.
I mean, does that relate to how you think?
in terms of my parents or me?
However
think.
you might relate to it, because I feel like the way you susun the cerita kan macam ada that element dia.
Maybe I talk a lot about my family kan.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually I think my dad. After you.
Saya recording.
Okay.
Recording boleh.
I think
Saya pun tidak bercakapan.
I think it's very great that you're doing this to your kids, that you think about them before yourself. That it's a very sacrificial kind of thing to do. I mean, you could just go home and just
I didn't
release.
say that.
But yeah, I reflect back, like my parents. I think back then there was not so many resources on how to parent a kid, and they got it really hard from their parents because they all lived through very difficult times. More than 10 siblings. My dad's side is more complicated lah. My dad's side I have 2 grandmas, so my grandma is
Interesting.
that's a whole different story. But it's a good story. But yeah, so I think for them, if as long as they provide you food, shelter, done. My job that's my capacity, and they've done their best. But for us, we needed more, like psychological, love, mental, like really close love. So yeah, I did have to. I mean, especially these few years, like you have to kind of digest those missing moments that you needed from your care and love from your parents or your family. Because I think if you didn't have enough love at home, you kind of seek it somewhere else and seek it at all the wrong places, which happened to me lah. And eventually, you have to kind of pick up all the consequences and reverse all the damage that's done by yourself. And you can't blame other people for your life. I remember when my dad actually didn't really like me pursuing music, which is why I studied multimedia design.
Did he told you why?
Yeah, cannot cari makan lah. The easy explanation. But actually, I realized if you know that your kid has this inclination, like they like physics, like maths, like music, if they want to study audio engineering, maybe something, I was proposing that. But he foresee the future, more secure kind of job would be like pharmacist or biotech kind of thing. Which makes sense. Yeah, true enough. Like all of my friends who in this field, I mean, some are doing quite well. But eventually you have to go back. You go one big round, then you end up having to do the things that you kind of know that you're supposed to do. So I mean, so I didn't get to propose audio engineering. Okay, no. Then I proposed maybe mass communication, broadcast. No. Then multimedia design, I saw there's one course like audio recording. There's like one section is audio recording. So I picked that course and I proposed, and he saw, okay, maybe design, you can have a more stable income. So then he approved for me to study that. But my music wise, he's always like very opposing. But when I graduated, we had like a graduation trip, family trip, celebrating. He's proud that I finished my studies, good grades. And then one day I just saw him praising some other kid studying music. Like, wow, he's doing so well. Then I was like, dude, I want to study music and you didn't let me. And then he's like, and he was so against it that he was really condemning me, and I have to move out of the house. It's serious, like, it's not like what people say, parents are like that one lah, they gurau je, just, they're not serious
After
about it.
you said that?
But he really wanted to, I really need to like be kicked out of the house if I really want to study music. So, but I figured I still want to study and don't have money. My passion, maybe I'm questioned lah. Maybe I'm not so hardcore lah. Really must like die. So I picked like a middle, nego lah, middle ground lah, which is multimedia design. Then when he said that, I said that lah, but I want to study music. Then he said, "Oh, this is your choice. You didn't insist. It's on you. Don't blame me."
Kena twist lah.
So I was like, okay. I will never listen to you again. But I mean, back then I'm an adult already, right? I can make choices for myself. So but then it reminded me, okay, if you really want to pursue something, or whatever happens in your life, you cannot blame anyone. You have to take responsibility. So that kind of reminded me this lah. So then, so from then on, even whatever he says, I will take it as an advice, and then you sendiri have to evaluate and then make the choices that you want. So that's why a lot of things that maybe I do now, people think it's wrong, or I just have to follow lah my instincts, or else like, for example, if I'm in the hospital bed, I'll be regretting. This is like, I didn't want to go through that. I don't want to sit on the hospital bed like helping to make some other company rich, or doing something that I don't really trust in.
Fighting for someone else's dream. So,
Nice.
we can say you were released when your dad said you didn't insisted this. So that was the turning point lah.
Yeah, kind of also. But
Congratulations.
yeah, kind of also. But yeah, I was always rebellious lah. There's a
So
rebelliousness.
that was the real graduation.
Probably.
Kan?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'm guessing you're here because of your husband.
Kind of.
What made you went to Sempurna?
How about
What's the story behind that?
what maybe comes here first also is I have to thank to my backpacking trips. Because when I backpack, right, when I say I'm from Malaysia, they always tell me about Borneo, how great Borneo is, and I've never been. Back then, imagine I've travelled
50 countries.
50, I haven't been to Borneo. So that kind of, I always had that curiosity about Borneo then that I want to explore. So Sempurna, of course, is one of the top destinations that people always talk about, right? And how I ended up there is not really planned. It was okay. It was also during backpacking. I was in Italy. So when you travel, there are different tiers of like trains, right? Those are more atas one, or the local trains, which is more rundown lah, more basic. So on those trains, you get to see the less fortunate people, or people with lower incomes. And on one of the trip, I remember seeing one kid and a sister figure. Kid and the sister came into the train, and he was holding an accordion. He was playing it lah, and then the sister was like pushing him around to minta donation kind of thing, right? But he's like he hasn't eaten for days. His face is like this. There's no glow in his eyes. Carrying a beautiful instrument that he cannot actually play, He just grab and then just push a bit. And he looked so sad holding a musical instrument. And then at the same time, I saw on the train there was a tourist family, and there was a kid around his age, but super spoiled. Then that moment I was like, whoa, the contrast was real. And then instrument, because I love music, right? So I was like, how can someone hold a musical instrument and have this, kind of feeling? I was so sad. I cried lah, actually. I was wearing shades and I cried. That moment was very impactful for me, because I was holding €1. I don't know whether I should give or not. Until now, I don't remember whether I gave or not. Because there was so much conflict in me. Like, should I encourage this? But if he don't meet his quota, what will happen to him? So that moment was very significant lah. So so then when I came to Sabah, many years after, then I saw kids like this on the streets. And I mean, traveling in Egypt also, like Egypt. Actually, a lot of European countries, you see a lot of the Roma people. They kind of nomads, but also some are refugees, And you see those people in Sabah, in Malaysia. I couldn't accept it, because I didn't know about this side at all when I was living in Semenanjung. I mean, at most you see like homeless adults on the streets, maybe a few kids, but not like a bunch of kids. So then I started to try to understand what's the issue lah. So then I found Borneo Comrade on when I was researching, and I realized they are art students, which I can relate. I always feel like music, design, we are not like those science students. Even though I like science, we are not like those doctors. They can do really contribute to the society. Like what can art and design do? Was investigating that role. Then when I see this bunch of like arts graduates, they are doing all this
Crazy
movement.
people.
And I was like, wow, very interesting. So I contacted them and asked about their work, and possibly maybe can collaborate or something like that. And then they invited me to visit the school. And before I went, I actually asked a few people for advice lah. I asked Putri, she's a director. I asked her, because she has been to Sempurna. I asked her, how's the experience like? How should I approach this? And then do you know Ai Weiwei?
Yes.
Yeah, I asked him on Clubhouse also. Somehow like Clubhouse was a thing back then. Then I asked him.
So you guys chat?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was very because it was an issue about refugee, and then people are displaced, marginalized, So I asked him, as a person who is not in that place, am I in the right place to write a song about them, or how should I approach this? Then he just answered, actually the thing is, because he is a kind of like refugee himself, so he is naturally, he could talk about this based on his own experience. And then he did like documentaries about the refugee issue and all that also. And he said, but for you, actually it's very simple, you just treat them like your brothers and sisters. That was what he advised. So I was like, it was a very short, because like the people like queuing up when I talked to him. But I really it was very kind lah. Yeah. So I asked this kind of artists, and I forgot who else I asked before I came. So I wanted to go with the right intention and posture, because this is completely new to me. So I went, and they were so nice and so kind to me, and they invited me back, and then it just one invite after another. And then and so happens that during that period, I was supposed to go there for like maybe 1 week, then I extend to maybe 2 weeks. Maybe. And then so happens like Pangro Sulat went there to do a workshop. And I got to know them. And I was like, wow, these people are just, they appear to be like very gung-ho, like lawan, and can be quite intimidating on social media. But then when you meet them, they're the kindest, like soft-spoken.
Tidak pamrok pun.
I remember, I was, a lot of these punks are like Fahmi also, Fahmi. So like they read a lot, they know what they're talking about. So they're not just art. Art is like a platform and outlet, but it's just like a vessel to spread a message or to do something. It's not. We're not like after like the greatest art, the greatest music. We're not like worshipping the art. It's a tool to me. So, and it's so much more underneath that art, beneath that art, the history, the message, and how it could help kind of give people whom their voices are taken away back. There's one song that I work with a refugee friend, Myanmar friend that I got to know in KL. He's now like very actively, sharing his metal music. He's like an amazing guitarist. And then he really insisted on like writing in his own native language because he's a refugee, right, from Chin, Myanmar. And then he realized if he don't do this, one day when the people are being, all chased out or they die off, it's as if they never existed. Nobody documented anything. So that also like, was so powerful for me. Like music actually, this art form, these things are a form of voice for the people who couldn't voice out in like policies and on paper they don't exist. So that kind of relate to how I approach these issues Yeah, but acknowledging my privilege from the beginning is also a homework they have to do also because imagine you're being fed, you're second-class citizen, you have no opportunities here, and then but how people look at Chinese like, wow, you guys are privileged because this, So we're not like in a competition who is more privileged. It's more like, okay, then what you have and what that people don't have, then you see how you want to make use of it for good, rather than keep chasing something I think like living for myself, that kind of slogan don't really appeal to me because I felt that I really achieved a lot of things that I wanted to do already. I don't have a lot of like strong dreams I must achieve because I'm fortunate enough to have traveled so many places. I have education. I can make a living if I want to, and I have a lot of opportunities. If I want to, I can. So what am I gonna do with this? Yeah, something like that.
So now you're stuck with Sempurna in your head.
Once you see the kids, you see them, you can't unsee. You can't just like, okay, I don't know anymore. But it's hard to. Sometimes I feel like it's too. The distance is so far. Can't always keep up with them, and they grow up so fast. Like sometimes you feel like, if I had done things, if we had more funding, if we had done this quicker, maybe, we could have done more with them. And then feel like you're chasing after time, and then they eventually have to make a living for themselves also, and then they also have to have their own families. They have to grow through that process. Once it's like you with your kids, maybe sometimes I always hear parents say like they're afraid of their kids growing up too fast. Those moments. It felt like that, and you feel like, this short time, like what can I give? Then you realize you can't give that much also, and you just feel like the stuck is like you feel like you can't. You always feel like you don't give enough. Yeah.
It's not really a feeling. It's really physical. I was in KL for 2.5 weeks. I came back. The kids look different, like really different. Like what happened to you guys?
They go taller, hair or like
the hair, the smile, the way they talk, and yeah, I understand when you say, I wish you can do this quicker, and I don't know, for me, spend more time with them. But then again, life happens. You have to go to work, you have to do this and that, and you come back looking at another version of this kid you left for 1 week.
Yeah, I have 3 cats. Sometimes I feel that too. When I'm away for too long, I'm like, you grow bigger already. You don't use to manja like you used to. You don't want me anymore.
I understand.
Cats.
My family is a cat family. Ini pun Ate. Oh, Ate is here, by the way.
Hi, I keep looking that direction. It's Ate.
Oh, Ate was
for
saying
having me.
something. The way your teacher taught you piano was something very inspiring. She was crying, if you saw just now, saying that apa bilang tadi? How your relationship with the children in Sempurna. Okay, for those of you who are blind with Sempurna punya how you say human landscape. Sempurna is a place where it's in between borders. So in between borders, it means that we have a lot of migration, a lot of Sabah being Sabah. We have a lot of undocumentedness. Ano ka to? We have a lot of migration. I mentioned that before.
Stateless.
Semua tu lah, statelessness, all the issues under the sun, and these are the type of people. Senang cakap, these are the type of people who really needs education, because before they were educated, I can say by Borneo Comrade, their livelihood is it depends on them asking, begging from other people, other communities. And when they got educated, they understood that we need to have jobs, we need to be clean, we need to I'm not belittling them, no, but they realize when they are educated. This was shared by a friend in Sempurna. One of the kids, teenagers, one of them studied lah with Borneo Comrade kan, and then they learn the importance of shoes and how you need to have shoes so that people would look at you and somehow show respect. These are the things yang we take for granted every day, and apalah selipar je pun, but the moment they realize this, they sacrifice a lot of their time to gain finance to beli selipar. Imagine, this is Sempurna, and
Yeah. Actually, like, they learn human dignity also.
yeah,
Their value.
yes,
Yeah, you can see those who had education and those who didn't, they kind of value their own lives more, and they want to bring change to their family and to their community. They are change makers. They just lack opportunity, and there's so much talent
yeah.
in them also.
my God, yes.
Once you just unlock it. But yeah, it's, I mean, the students there, they are hardworking if they are given the opportunity, and some of them who graduated from Sekolah Alternative, they become one of the best employers in their workplace, and some can afford to buy a car. They buy the car so that they can bring their family around. They take care of their people. Some, they will move miles away from their home just to get a better, they will risk their lives to work, to provide for their family. And how old are they? Yeah.
I learned the hard way how they think critically when we did a screening in di mana tu?
Oh, Teluk Layan ke tu?
Sekolah Negeri. we were not prepared for their questions.
Yeah.
And
they are
when
very
they asked us like technical questions about documentation, I was like, what the is that kind of question coming from a 14-year-old? And I mean, when I was 14, I just started learning how to smoke. Like, belajar berhabis ni, kalau saya pandai smoke, I would look cool. And they were learning about IM13, IMM13, burung-burung, like how to apply this, how do I read this type of clause and help my mom get documentation. Like, the budak ba?
Yeah, their maturity level is
Saya menahan
very
air mata,
high.
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So imagine them, if they are given documents now, they could be far ahead than a lot of people actually. Even though they didn't get the formal education, but they could be very good workers, you know. They can contribute to the society.
Betul-betul game changers ah.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's a very long process to want to, you know, solve this issue. If it's easy to solve, it would have been solved long ago. But this issue also built up from so many years.
Yeah.
And kesian lah, they just trapped in the wrong time, born in the wrong time, wrong place. It could be us, you know. It could be the other way around. And so I think, I mean, when you say like you learn how to smoke and all that, I think they also go through the similar process. Like the girls, still girls, you know, they like put on makeup, they wanna, you know, do the girly things. They're still teenagers, but they are, you know, Ijan, one of the students, he wanted to write a song, Usia Sebelum Dewasa. Correct? The meaning, I don't know whether I get the title correct, but it means they're forced to become an adult before their age reaches an adult age. So he wanted to write a song about that, because that's their life. They have to, but then they still want to live as kids. You know, they still want to go through the rebelliousness, and then go through the things that, you know, kids go through. They're still normal people like us. Yeah.
I don't know which episode I mentioned this before, but we'll give you the link. I mentioned about her, like after SPM, Ate didn't have time to be bodoh. I mentioned this twice in those episodes. Like terus kerja, terus volunteer, terus socially educated. Baguslah. Shit. Let me go a bit shallow punya soalan, because I just watched the film Pendatang.
Ooh.
Have you watched the film?
Sudah. Belum?
It's free. It's in YouTube. Gitu.
Nanti lah. Esok.
Lek. So, I mean, I know for a fact that there are NGOs like bukan bilang race-based NGOs, like Suci begitu kan. These uncle aunties who happen to be Chinese yang suka tolong orang.
Oh, Tuci.
Yeah. Oh, that's how you pronounce it. Sorry.
No, sorry. I was like,
and I noticed they work hard in helping the unprivileged. But I see that you're alone. I mean, that's crazy enough. Do you get eyes looking at you like, what is this person doing here? I mean, how?
we've traveled 50 countries alone.
But that's
So-
traveling.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
I never really felt alone,
Ah.
because they invited me over. They're with me. I know it's hard lah. I mean, it's hard to ask my close friends to come along with me. I felt that probably is a challenge. That I always feel like, why I don't have friends who want to do this together with me. But then my friends are there, you know. So I don't feel alone. I feel like they are with me, and if I don't join them, then I will feel alone. Yeah. And I think, have you heard of the birthday rally? It's not a very big thing here, kan? It's more like Semenanjung.
Yeah, I mean, it was a thing during the last one.
Election.
Yeah, the first few, no.
Yeah. So I went to one of those before I went to overseas study, and I went alone also. And I was the kind that take a camera and then go to the very front line to see what's happening, because I want to find out for myself what's really happening. I don't want to listen to other people sharing like filtered, things, or like biased views. So I have to find out myself. So I'm the kind that I want to find out myself. You know, horror movies, right? People are like, why you hear the sound then you still want to go?
Get the blood.
but I think in real life, if it's a horror movie, I probably won't lah. But maybe deep down, I want to find out what's happening there. So I just go with the flow. I just went, and Shakila also like alone, kan, in a way. Like she's also alone from Semenanjung, and I never really feel. I think the desire to want to know is greater than like whether I'm. Yeah, I never really see it that way until you mention.
Okay, ini saya punya apalah. Yang first time yang saya nampak.
Kan saya bilang kau perlu mic.
Kau dengar juga tuh.
Okay.
Okay, yang saya first time nampak kan Jen. Tentu yang saya sama amat lah dan tu tengok kau. Terus gam-gam nak kami sampai di Sempurna. Kau bikin beats, tentu kau first time turun tuh. Terus kami berfikir, kenapa dia ada di sini? Bukan dia penyanyi kah? Kami bilang. Terus yang, okay, biarlah. Sampailah kami tahu yang kau buat lagu untuk orang dan kau ajar orang kan. Terus kami bilang, dia betul-betul manusia yang luar kotak lah. Dia yang kita tahu kalau artis-artis macam ni kan.
Bukan artis pun.
Selesa orang bah. Kenapa ni manusia ni mau keluar pergi tempat
menyusahkan diri.
Ya, begitulah boleh dikatakan menyusahkan diri, pergi tempat yang tertindas, yang dia pilih isu yang sangat panas lagi dengan begini punya orang. Bukan saya mau cakap dia, saya bukan mau cakap pasal bangsa dia, tapi itulah dia bah, dia yang di situ tu kenapa artis lama-lamanya betul dia betul manusia di luar kotak lah. Itu saya bilang. Dia memang different from the others. Dan kami happy masa si Jen kena panggil di sini. Ada satu space live house tu kena panggil dan itu sama S2E13. Terus kami terkejut. Wow, Jen datang main di live house.
Saya dengar tu ya.
Bawa lagu untuk dorang juga. Terus yang hebatlah dia orang ni gitu lah. Terus macam kami punya pandangan yang pertama yang kami terkejut lah. Kau keluar dari zone selesa kau pergi situ. Pilih untuk stay sana.
You might not see this, but yeah, we do. And Cuci silalah yang active enough, or SIB Luyang, Jen Chow. Oh, Jen Chow was here just now. These are the only people yang crazy enough to go across skin color, race, documentation, and do what is needed. Tidak pernah bayang satu-orang.
Selalu saya rasa tidak function pun. Kena macam cari kerja tu. I think I had it easy because Mukmin and they all laid down such a good foundation already. I didn't go when he was building. He built the whole Rumah Collective himself, with the help of the community and his friends, his lifelong friends, from UMS back then. I think I had it easy when it's already kind of established. Yeah. So they made it easy for guests to go. So I don't feel like dia orang memang hardcore, dia tinggal bersama community for years. He go and really mingle with the penduduk and get the trust from the ketua kampung. That's because of that trust they had for them. I got easier to go. Or else, you think they will just accept anyone? When the first time I went, it's just tourists only lah, But as maybe they start to recognize me already, they kind of know you are with the teachers. the teachers are doing so well for the community that they just trust people with. Yeah, I felt lucky, I guess, to be in this time, and I wouldn't claim credit for yeah. And
After all this
Yeah.
happening, I mean, after the stuff you did, do you still feel you're a guest?
I feel I could have done more. I mean, I felt my contribution is so.
Okay, only when I have ... then I am not a guest anymore. Fill the blank. Si Gedi
I-
pengen cakap saya.
I think because they are so well mannered, so well taught. They still respect you as like a. They still worry about whether I got food to eat. Where I'm like, it's okay, we can settle our food. They just, they just care about everyone just like that. Okay lah, maybe if I say guest, maybe Mukmin he will like kutuk. Oh, Mukmin,
Menyerah diri.
I want to be more involved. I mean, I only started visiting in 2021, 2023. Still early days. They have done this for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I'm very aware that they are like truly activists who live in the community, and what is my role is. Yeah, I felt that's much more to be done lah. And I do hope I can get more people to join together. Like when Atia mentioned, we recorded a song with them. It's like a collaboration lah. And I didn't brought my producer. She volunteered to come, by her own expenses and all that, to meet with the students, the kids, and then just to see the situation here. Before that, she never really know much about what's happening here. So I think through music, through art, it could bring people together. And also like coming out of the comfort zone. Also, I think I was also working on I've been thinking like, why are we so divided as a nation? Like, why are we so not united? Especially in you watch Pendatang, right? The segregation, we have that baggage lah. Memang people are divided like that based on race. But I felt a lot of things are politicized. So I want to see how we can get out of that bubble. How can I get out of my own bubble, and maybe unintentionally I just like cross. I just love culture, learning about other people's culture, food. I like to try all the traditional thing. And when Ate invited me to visit, your mom, Mama Ita, I was like, wow, it's amazing. I mean,
Straw Lim met my mom first, then me.
she's amazing. She's such a
Hey, jangan lebih.
I mean, like all these things. Like when I go to Tamu, just see all this. I realized, there's so much more about Malaysia than we know. So why do I want to leave this country before I fully understand it? Yeah, like we always like complain when you go overseas. We like complain, our country is like this, like this, like this. I mean, there's one time, like Europeans, they're kind of quite proud with their country, even though they complain, but they still have that pride, But I realized Malaysian, probably we kind of lack that. So then, probably because of that also, I decided, okay, if I really want to leave Malaysia for good, I better make sure I've tried my best first. And also like through the Bersih movement and all that, also I see people like throw away their passport, Malaysian passport, and just become British citizens or like Australians, or because we can't have dual citizenship. But before I want to make sure. So in the end, after exploring all this and getting married and all that, I realized actually I don't need to be not called Pendatang to be not a Pendatang. I don't need to have the stamp of being a Bumi Putra to feel like I belong here. If I decide I belong here, I belong here lah. Like those children without documentation, they feel like they are Malaysians. They love Sabah. They feel like they are not sempurna. They are not sempurna. They don't need this documented proof that they love this place, right? It's such an impactful moment during the graduation, when I see them, putting their hands here and then they sing Negaraku or Sabah Tanah Airku. Oh my goodness. And I was like, wow, and yet I have the options to throw away my IC
and sing a different anthem.
Yeah, I was like, why I want to move to somewhere that has caused a lot of problem in our country in the first place? I mean, a lot of these thinkings are behind all this, but I think in the end it's like just loving people, I guess. True. Yeah.
Ini belum lagi start cerita pasal music dia.
Yeah.
We are in 1 hour and 27 minutes. Kepala otak.
Happy editing. If you need help editing, I can help you.
I think we did a part 2. Kan? Would you be open for that?
To another day or terus kan?
No, we need another day. I cannot process this much. I cannot bounce ideas with you right now.
I talk too much, guys. Sorry.
No. It ignites a lot of the ideas of hope, the ideas of being wanting to be a part of this Borneo comrade community. I mean, I've never I always wanted to interview Mukmin, but I have this fear of interviewing him. I mentioned this before. Because I feel like macam hebat bah dia ni. And nantilah, tunggulah.
In 5 sessions.
Kan? Like
Short
epic
course.
saga.
Yeah.
Where, this was my experience of Borneo Comrade. There was a t-shirt brand that was very hot back then. In the 2009, 2010, it was called Vandalism. Afik, si Apik, yeah, t-shirt brand. It was very big. It has all these connotation of this pop culture, anti-hero kind of thing. And lepas tu ada, I think not long after that, there was Punk Rock Sulap. And Punk Rock Sulap was very, I want to say mentah that time. They were still trying to find their niche. They were still deeply dwelled in punk rock music, the DIY culture, and they were friends with everyone. And then they found out what they were meant to do. And they were friends with a bit more people. Yang lain adalah cerita dia kan. And then came, I mean, in between these incidents, keluar ni satu t-shirt baru, Borneo Comrade. Terus apa ni ya? Macam vandalism tapi ciplak. Mungkin mau jadi vandalism ni. Because they started off really rough. They looking back now, I feel like they were working with whatever they have. And back then they have close to nothing. What they have were their words, their graphics, and mula-mula kau tengok kan yang it can be better. Tapi lama-lama betul it was getting better. And I think came a day where they didn't care anymore. Dia tidak mau jaga hati siapa-siapa. They didn't want to censor their works. That was when it became like, oh, this is good shit. And then you can how you say like differentiate on vandalism macam ni, Punk Rock Sulap yang kejap macam ni, Borneo Comrade is something else. They might look the same, but it's very, very different. And I don't know, congrats lah Borneo Comrade. Siok. Their journey has been in a graphic sense lah, in a design sense, is very kami lah. Like I don't care what you think. This is what we're gonna tell you, what we need through their artworks lah. So in technical sense, cara dorang ajar the sekolah, I have no idea. I have been just following their postings lah. But yeah, memang siok lah, best lah tengok. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what we see on social media kan, but the day-to-day life,
You get to live with them.
for I mean for a while lah, but the amount of things they have to deal with is so much more than just teaching. You have to deal with family issues or health issues. Sometimes they have the ones who bring the students to hospital. A lot of issues like, if this student's dad kena tangkap, then how? They have rumah bocor, they do like, there's no workers who work for them. The tangki, not enough water, they build another tangki themselves. It's the really hands-on lah, I would say. That's, I really respect them.
I like the way I went to school, and they were talking about all these issues lah, yang for me it's like shocking and bikin naik darah, and ada yang sedih, and they were laughing. They were like, yeah, it's normal.
Yes,
Things like that happen here. Like, what? I didn't know how to respond.
Yeah.
But after coming back from school, doing our screening, so I followed Jeff's postings every day, and I realized, like, yeah, they go through shit every day until to a point where it's just funny and they can just laugh about it, like, wow. So I tried to incorporate that kind of attitude in my office. So I do my best every day until to a point, like, yang teruk punya masalah kan, like, yeah, that shit happens every day, so what? We just deal with it lah.
Yeah. Sometimes I know what you mean, like you because you go through that whole turmoil, emotional, you don't want to, it's very tiring.
Yeah.
So then you go through this, like, okay, a bit numb already lah.
Yeah,
But sometimes
yeah,
I have
that's the
to
word, yes.
remind myself not to be numb, Like when you see the rubbish in Sempurna, at one point I really felt like biasa already. But it's not normal.
True.
This is not normal living in a pile of garbage. But it was so normal. At one point you're like, okay, no, this is like, you need to allow your emotions to flow. Sometimes you cry so much or you emotion too much, you can't function. So you still need somewhere to, an outlet. So for them, they also need something to help them go through that. Or else, imagine the amount of emotional load they have taking for themselves and also the students, and lots of students. So I mean, it's not an easy job lah. Really, I mean, of course the community is, they have it even worse, but for them it's also, so that's why I mean now the students they are building their own kesatuan pelajar, they are being more independent in their own movement. So it becomes like a partnership rather than, they're under these teachers or this group, you can work side by side now, which is very exciting to see lah.
Are you still doing things with them?
Yeah, there are plans. I mean, yeah, remember I shared, like, I asked people for advice before I go. One of them is like, I reminded myself I don't want to, I hope that this is not a one-off kind of thing. So which is why whenever there's opportunity, if they invite me, then if they, if I have a role to play, then I will definitely want to be a part of whatever lah I can help. Yeah. So there are plans for them to, I mean, I'll let them share their plans lah, but probably music wise, there are plans to make more music in the future together, or like see how we can collaborate. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Is this
Okay, on that note, and on this note, tidak puas pak, tapi kan
Oh.
cannot. This too long.
Patu.
Yeah, we're gonna go to part 2
Oh wow.
in the near future. So this is not goodbye yet. But Straw Lim, thanks for this.
Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for
This
listening.
this has been. I didn't see this. I didn't expect this at all. I was like, music. Should I be articulate with my words when we talk about music? Because I have a friend who is a producer, I guess, and
Chris.
it's always a struggle for me to talk to him about music, because I always feel like he knows so much, and I need to like jadi pandai if I want to talk about music. But I don't know, with you, I mean, I'm not comparing. Tonight has been, like you said, the artwork, your music is just a tool, but what is behind it is the community, the passion of this whole thing.
Music is life.
Gitu.
Yeah.
So yeah lah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna do this again. And any last words?
Come visit Sekolah Alternative.
Yeah.
There are 3 branches. I mean, there are 4 lah. There's 2 in Semporna, and then there's one in Tawau, and then there's one in Telok Layan, which is KK.
What
Under KK,
can
right?
the general public do when they visit?
I think just visiting them, they'll be so happy that you care about them. That's what they always told me. Which is why I very thick face. I just go lah.
Nangis, babi.
Yeah, because they always say terima kasih, sudi peduli,
Oh.
sudi datang. Or always
Oh,
say like that.
that kind of like cucuk and sayang at the same time.
Yeah. So you just go and then see for yourself. Maybe there's a way you can contribute, or if you can't, don't feel like if you don't have the capacity, don't feel bad. I mean, maybe you can talk to someone who can, or you have extra savings to give out. Probably you can contribute also. But most of all, seeing them eye to eye, holding their hands, hug them, it'll change your life.
So that has been a Sip Show episode
Sip
entah
Show.
berapa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Straw.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ate.
Thank you, Ate.
Bye, Amat, wherever you are.
Yeah, Mat. Thanks for listening.
Pulanglah, Mat, pulang.
Marilah pulang.
Good night.
Marilah pulang.
Okay, we do singing next one.
Okay lah. I'm okay if you don't want to talk about music. It's fine.
Oh my god.